Missing Formula 1 world champion Lewis Hamilton because of COVID-19 is a terrible situation Mercedes never wanted to experience, but it's also created a wonderful opportunity it never thought possible. The chance to extract George Russell from Williams and put him in the works team alongside Valtteri Bottas for the Sakhir Grand Prix and maybe the season finale in Abu Dhabi as well is not the sort that comes around often. I'm Scott Mitchell for The Race, and here's why Mercedes simply could not pass up this opportunity and what's really at stake within it. The chance Mercedes always wanted. For a team that has boasted an excellent crop of young talent in recent years, including Russell, Esteban Ocon and Pascal Wehrlein, Mercedes has had to make do with placing those drivers in customer teams, often at the back of the grid. Two of those three have even fallen out of Formula 1 because Mercedes was unable to guarantee them a place, although Ocon has since returned with Renault, and Russell looked like he might briefly suffer the same fate for 2021, and we've got another video telling you all about that. Despite wanting to give young talents more opportunities, Mercedes has never entertained the prospect of a Red Bull-style junior team structure. And in the 10 years since Mercedes rejoined the grid, one of its juniors has never driven for the works team before Russell. It's part of why Max Verstappen chose Red Bull when he was a sought-after junior, because Red Bull could guarantee him a way into F1 that Mercedes couldn't. A Red Bull-style setup has never been an option for Mercedes, and generally risk-averse major outfits never put young drivers in their works teams, with Ferrari's move for Charles Leclerc the exception that proves the rule. The implication has always been how wonderful it would be if Mercedes could have an opportunity to throw a Russell type into one of its cars without consequence. Well, this is that opportunity. It's the chance Mercedes always wanted but never had. Both championships are settled, a seat is available, and all parties involved are willing to make it happen. Yes, the situation is unusual, it's unexpected, and it's highly undesirable as nobody wants Hamilton or any driver to be ill and miss a race. But the chance arose and Mercedes had to grab it. It's harsh for Stoffel Vandoorne as a designated reserve to be overlooked for an epic F1 return and a shot at redemption after leaving in 2018 following a disappointing 2-year stint that didn't do his abilities justice. And as a one-off, Vandoorne's probably a more spectacular story. However, the reserve driver's there for emergency use, and Mercedes isn't in F1 to create fun stories, it's in F1 to succeed. So if it needs a replacement driver and there's a chance to get a better option, which Russell is, then it has to be taken. What's at stake? Russell has been talked up as a future world champion by Mercedes, and with good reason. He's extremely fast, intelligent, hard-working, and his back-to-back titles in GP3 and Formula 2 show his ability to piece together a full season under pressure, given the opportunity. This hasn't manifested itself properly in F1 yet in terms of points, and yes, he's let one, maybe two chances slip through his fingers, but there have been plenty of excellent unrewarded performances as well. What Russell hasn't had, and will probably still not have next year, is a shot in an F1 car that bridges the gap between backmarker and race winner. Next year he will have a third year with Williams, and while it may well continue the progress shown in 2020 and yield more lower midfield heroics, ultimately it presents another season of limited learning, and that's no good for Russell's prospects. It's not that Russell's treading water at Williams, but he does have limited opportunities, and that means Mercedes has a limited sample set of data to judge him on, and any decision to put him in the works team longer term will represent a bigger gamble than it would like. If Mercedes takes Russell seriously as a prospect, then it needs a better proving ground for him than sniping for underdog triumphs with Williams. And what better way to judge than from within, which brings us back to this remarkable unexpected opportunity. Mercedes will say it's no shootout, and technically it isn't. No matter what happens, Bottas will line up for Mercedes in 2021. But regardless of the circumstances that directly pitch an established driver against the leading contender to replace him, it's unavoidably a shootout of sorts. The dynamic between teammates is one of collaborative competition, so Russell now has the chance to show what he can do behind the wheel of a Mercedes in a live race situation. But modern F1 does not allow you to simply jump into a car and be compared directly to the incumbent based just on lap times and results. So what can we expect? To expect Russell to jump in and defeat Bottas, who is firmly established at Mercedes and an outstanding driver in his own right, is just unrealistic. But while this weekend will not decide which driver Mercedes picks for 2022, if it comes down to a choice between Russell and Bottas, it will impact the balance of power. For Bottas, it's about consolidating the high ground that he occupies. On the one hand, the Sakhir Grand Prix is a dream situation as he's the undisputed Mercedes team leader for the first time. On the other hand, it's the nightmare scenario with his potential replacement having a chance to impress, and a Bottas win from pole position is therefore expected. For Russell, it's about advancing his position. The Mercedes will surely be the fastest car, and a place on the second row would be a job well done, and the front row a superb effort. But if the Mercedes advantage is as big as it was at Monza, for example, Russell ideally needs to be on the front row. In simple terms, he needs to get as close to Bottas as possible. As for the race, a strong finish even outside the top two would still be a good job for a stand-in, but Russell will push himself not to accept simply a solid result. The key is that he doesn't overreach, given the steep learning curve. Bottas is likely to win in literal terms, but for Russell what's critical is the underlying performance trends that the team will analyse in depth. That's where he will really make his case. Mercedes knows this opportunity was an extraordinary one, so it was absolutely right to grasp it. Sure, it creates a high-stakes environment, but that's kind of the point. That's the story behind Russell's shock Mercedes chance. Let us know in the comments if you think Mercedes has chosen wisely or should have gone for someone else. And while you're at it, have a stab at how you think Russell's going to get on as well.